Welcome back to the English Hour. I'm Sophia Day. As always, I'm joined by the one and only Jacob. Hey Jacob, how are you feeling today?
Hey Sophia, I'm feeling great. It's always a pleasure to be here. I've had a cup of strong coffee, and I'm ready to dive into another deep conversation. How about you?
I'm doing well too. I think this episode is going to be special. No fixed topic today. Just you and me talking about anything and everything. That sounds fun. Right?
Absolutely. Those are my favorite types of conversations. They feel the most real and spontaneous. So, where do we begin?
Let's start with something simple. What did you do this morning? Walk us through your routine.
Sure, I woke up around 6:30 a.m., which is a bit earlier than usual. I've been trying to wake up early to make the most out of my day. First thing I did was drink a glass of water. Hydration is key, right?
Definitely, water first thing in the morning is a game changer. Did you manage to work out or do something active?
I did actually. I went for a short jog in the park nearby. Just 20 minutes, but it felt great. The air was fresh. Birds were chirping, classic peaceful morning vibe. Do you have a morning workout routine too?
I wish I could say yes, but I'm still working on that. I tend to do some light stretching and yoga, but no jogging. I'm not a morning person at all. Getting out of bed feels like a mission sometimes.
I can relate. I used to be like that for years. But I found that once I forced myself to wake up early for a week straight, it became easier. Have you ever tried one of those 5 a.m. challenges?
I've seen them on YouTube. The wake up at 5 a.m. for a week kind of videos. I've always been curious, but honestly, I'm afraid I'll just fall asleep at my desk halfway through the day.
That's a fair concern. It's definitely not for everyone. I tried it once, didn't last more than 3 days. But it did teach me that mornings can be magical if used right. Silence, clarity, no distractions.
That actually sounds very peaceful. I might give it a shot. Maybe not 5 a.m., but 6:30 could be a good start. What do you usually do after your jog?
After jogging, I take a quick shower, make a protein smoothie, banana peanut butter, oats, almond milk, the usual, and then I sit down to read for a bit. That's my favorite part.
Ooh, now that's interesting. What book are you reading right now?
Right now I'm reading Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's about how tiny changes can lead to big results over time. Honestly, it's one of the most practical books I've read on habit building.
I love that book. The idea of becoming just 1% better every day really stuck with me. It feels so doable, doesn't it?
Yes, exactly. It breaks down personal growth into such manageable pieces. Have you ever tried applying any of the ideas from that book in your own life?
I have. One thing I started doing was habit stacking. Like after I brush my teeth, I do a 2-minute meditation. It's so small, but it's helped me stay grounded in the mornings.
That's a brilliant habit to build. It's amazing how powerful even 2 minutes of mindfulness can be. Do you use an app for meditation or just sit in silence?
I use an app, actually. I find guided meditations easier to follow, especially when I have a lot on my mind. What about you? Do you meditate?
I do, but inconsistently. Sometimes I just sit quietly with my eyes closed and focus on breathing. Other times I journal instead. Writing helps me clear my head in a similar way.
Journaling is something I've always wanted to get into, but never really stuck with. Do you journal every day?
Not every day, but at least a few times a week. I try to write about what I'm grateful for, what went well, and what I want to focus on next. It's like a mental reset.
That's a great way to frame it, a mental reset. I feel like many people could benefit from something like that, especially with how busy and stressful life can be.
Exactly. It's like cleaning your room, but for your brain. Speaking of which, do you have any unusual daily habits or little rituals that you enjoy?
I have this weird thing where I light a scented candle before I start working. It helps me switch into focus mode. Lavender is my favorite. Is that strange?
Not strange at all. I think that's awesome. Smells have a powerful effect on our brains. I sometimes use instrumental music for the same reason. It helps me zone in.
Music definitely works. Do you have a favorite playlist or artist when you're working?
I usually listen to lo-fi hip-hop or ambient piano music. Nothing with lyrics, or I'll start singing along and get totally distracted.
Haha. Same. I can't listen to anything with lyrics when I write. It's like my brain tries to process the words, and I can't focus on my own thoughts.
Isn't it funny how our brains work? It's like we need stimulation, but not too much stimulation. A perfect balance.
Absolutely. It's like walking a tightrope. Speaking of balance, how do you manage work-life balance? That's something a lot of people struggle with these days.
That's a big one. I try to set clear boundaries like no checking work emails after 7 p.m., and weekends are for personal projects or just relaxing. What about you?
I struggle with it sometimes, especially since my work is flexible. But I've learned that scheduling off time into my calendar actually helps me respect it.
That's a smart move. If it's on the calendar, it feels official. What do you usually do when you're off the clock?
I love baking. It relaxes me. There's something magical about turning a bunch of random ingredients into a warm, delicious cake.
That's amazing. What's your go-to dessert?
Chocolate chip banana bread. I could eat that every day if I let myself. What about you? Do you cook or bake?
I do. I'm not a pro or anything, but I love experimenting. My signature dish is homemade pasta. Making it from scratch is oddly satisfying.
Wow, homemade pasta. That sounds so impressive. Do you use one of those old school pasta machines?
Yep, I found one at a thrift store a few years ago and decided to give it a try. It's a bit messy, but so worth it. Plus, you get to eat fresh pasta, which is unbeatable.
You're making me hungry now. I feel like I need to up my cooking game. Maybe one day, we should do a live cooking episode. What do you think?
I'd be totally up for that, cooking and chatting what could be better.
So Jacob, besides cooking and journaling, what other hobbies do you enjoy in your free time?
Hmm, good question. I've been really into photography lately. Not professionally, just as a hobby. I go out with my camera on weekends and take pictures of random things, buildings, trees, people, anything that catches my eye.
That's so cool. Do you prefer urban photography or nature photography?
I'd say a bit of both, but if I had to choose, nature wins. There's something calming about capturing a sunset or a quiet lake. It feels like freezing a peaceful moment in time.
I love that. Nature really does have a way of grounding us. I recently started trying to grow plants on my balcony, my own little garden, you know.
That's awesome. What are you growing?
So far, just some herbs, basil, mint, and parsley. I tried a tomato plant, but let's just say, it didn't go well.
Haha, I've had a few plant casualties myself. It happens. But fresh herbs on your balcony, that's living the dream.
It really is. I never thought watching little green leaves grow could bring so much joy. Do you have any plants?
I do. I have a snake plant and a peace lily. They're both pretty low maintenance, which is perfect for me. I named them too. Do you do that?
Oh my gosh. Yes, I have a mint plant named Minty, and a basil plant named Berry. I feel like giving them names makes me take better care of them.
Exactly. Mine are called Leo and Lily. Leo's the snake plant. He's a tough guy. Lily's more dramatic. If I forget to water her, she droops like she's auditioning for a sad movie.
Haha, plants with personalities, I love it. It's funny how something so simple can add warmth to your space.
Totally agree. Speaking of simple joys, what's something small that always makes you smile?
Hearing birds chirp in the morning. It's like nature's alarm clock, but in the best way. What about you?
For me, it's the smell of fresh coffee. Even if I'm tired or grumpy, one whiff of that, and I feel like everything's gonna be okay.
Coffee is magic, honestly. Do you brew it yourself or are you more of a cafe person?
I brew it at home most of the time. I've got a French press and recently bought a little milk frother. Makes me feel like a barista in my own kitchen.
Fancy, I usually just go with instant coffee. But now I feel inspired. Maybe I'll invest in a French press too.
You should. It's a game changer. Plus, the ritual of making coffee can be super calming. It's like a slow start to a fast day.
That's beautifully said. So tell me, if you had a completely free weekend, no responsibilities, no plans, how would you spend it?
Ooh, tough one. I think I'd start with a long hike in the morning, followed by a big breakfast. Then I'd probably read for a few hours, maybe take a nap, and end the day watching movies. Simple but perfect. You.
That sounds like a dream. I think I'd do something similar, maybe visit a bookstore, grab coffee with a friend, cook something new for dinner, and just slow down. I don't get many weekends like that.
Same here. It's amazing how rare true downtime has become. We're always plugged in, always doing something.
So true. Do you ever take digital detoxes like no phone, no social media for a day or two?
I try to. Even half a day without screens feels refreshing. I'll put my phone in another room and just be present. It's harder than it sounds, though.
Definitely hard, but so worth it. I've started turning off notifications after 8 p.m. It's helped me sleep better too.
That's a smart move. Sleep is so underrated. People talk about hustle and grind, but without rest, we burn out fast.
Preach, I used to be a night owl, staying up until 2 or 3 a.m. editing or replying to emails. Now I aim for a solid 7 to 8 hours.
Good for you. Sleep is foundational. Everything gets better mood, focus, creativity when we sleep well.
You're right. Speaking of creativity, where do you get your inspiration from? For your writing, photography, or anything else?
Great question. Honestly, from conversations like this, talking to people, hearing their stories, it sparks new ideas in my mind. Sometimes a walk, a quote, even a song lyric can trigger something.
I feel the same. Sometimes I get an idea while brushing my teeth or standing in line at the grocery store. Inspiration is funny like that.
Totally, that's why I always keep a small notebook with me or use the Notes app on my phone. You never know when creativity will strike.
Yes, I do that too. I have random notes like, story about a forgetful robot. Or, poem about the color green. Just sitting in my phone waiting to be used.
That's brilliant. Creativity loves chaos sometimes. The messier the ideas, the more room for magic.
Beautifully said. So Jacob, have you ever tried something completely new like stepping out of your comfort zone, in a big way?
I have actually. A couple of years ago, I signed up for a public speaking event even though I used to have major stage fright. It was terrifying but also one of the most rewarding experiences I've ever had.
Wow, that's brave. How did it go?
I was shaking the whole time, but once I got going, it felt amazing. The audience was supportive, and after it was over, I felt like I'd grown 10 feet tall. Have you ever done something that scared you like that?
Yes, recording my first podcast episode. I was nervous about everything, my voice, my words, how people would react. But now, here we are. Chatting like it's second nature.
That's incredible. And I'm sure your listeners are glad you took that leap. Sometimes all it takes is one step, right?
Absolutely. One bold step can change everything. Okay, I have a fun question now. If you could instantly master any skill in the world, what would it be?
Ooh, I'd say playing the piano. There's something magical about people who can just sit down and play. What about you?
I'd love to master drawing or painting. To be able to bring an image in my head to life on paper would be amazing.
That's a beautiful choice. Art is such a pure form of expression. Have you ever tried sketching?
I have, but let's just say my stick figures are still in elementary school. But hey, we all start somewhere.
Absolutely. Mastery begins with being a beginner. Even the best artists had their first awkward sketch.
That's so true. And that's a great reminder for our listeners. To whatever you're trying to learn, don't give up just because it's hard at first.
Exactly. Struggles in the beginning are normal. It's part of the learning curve. No one wakes up suddenly perfect at something.
Right? I always say, progress over perfection. Even a tiny step forward is still progress.
Love that mindset. It helps take the pressure off and just enjoy the process, especially with creative stuff.
Yes. When you focus too much on the outcome, you forget to enjoy the journey. Speaking of journeys, is there a place you've always wanted to travel to?
Oh, so many, but top of my list is Japan. The culture, the nature, the food, everything about it fascinates me.
Japan sounds amazing. I'd love to see the cherry blossoms in full bloom. It must feel like walking through a dream.
Definitely. And the contrast between modern cities like Tokyo and the peaceful countryside is so unique. What about you? What's your dream travel destination?
I've always wanted to visit Iceland. The northern lights, the waterfalls, the volcanic landscapes, it's like visiting another planet.
Iceland's definitely on my bucket list too. I've seen pictures of those natural hot springs surrounded by snow. It looks surreal.
Yes, I can imagine sitting in a warm geothermal pool while it's snowing around me. Just magical.
That would be the perfect reset for the mind and body. Total peace. Would you rather go solo or with friends?
I think I'd love to go with a close friend or two. Someone who enjoys silence as much as laughter. The kind of people you can travel with without having to talk all the time.
I get that. Good travel companions are gold. They don't add stress, they make the experience richer.
Exactly. Have you ever traveled solo?
Once for a weekend trip. It was eye-opening. I had time to reflect, made spontaneous choices, and met people I probably wouldn't have spoken to if I'd been in a group.
That sounds incredible. I think solo travel teaches you a lot about yourself.
Totally. You get to know your own rhythms, your likes and dislikes without influence. It's empowering.
I love how we've covered so many meaningful topics today, from hobbies and habits to dreams and travel. It's been such a refreshing conversation.
It really has. And I feel like we're just getting warmed up. Conversations like this are rare. You don't often get to dive deep and flow so naturally.
I agree. It feels effortless and genuine. Let's keep going. How about we talk a bit about childhood memories? What's a moment from your childhood that always makes you smile?
Oh, I love that question. Okay, there was this time when I was about 8 years old, and I tried to build a treehouse with zero carpentry skills. I used cardboard, tape, and rope. It barely held together, but I was so proud of it.
That's adorable. Did anyone help you with it?
Not really. My parents were watching from the window, probably laughing. But they let me experiment, which I appreciate now. It taught me creativity and persistence.
That's beautiful. I had something similar. I used to put on little shows in our living room: music, dance, the whole thing. I'd make tickets and invite my family as the audience.
That's amazing. You were already a performer back then. It's funny how those early passions show up again later in life.
Exactly. Looking back, I think those little moments were the seeds of who we become. Did you have a favorite toy as a kid?
Yes, it was a little blue robot that lit up and made sounds. I used to take it everywhere. I even made up stories where it was my sidekick on missions.
That's so cute. Mine was a stuffed rabbit named Coco. I told it all my secrets. It had floppy ears and the softest fur.
I love that. Isn't it wild how we form emotional bonds with toys? They become more than just objects, they hold memories.
They really do. Sometimes I wish I could go back to those carefree days. No stress, no deadlines. Just joy and imagination.
Same here. The older we get, the more we realize how special those simple days were. But I also think we can still tap into that childlike wonder.
I totally agree. That's why I still keep a coloring book. When I feel overwhelmed, I grab some colored pencils and just color. It's so calming.
That's awesome. I've heard adult coloring books are great for mindfulness. I should try that.
You definitely should. It's like meditation with colors. So Jacob, if you could give one message to your younger self, what would it be?
I think I'd say, you're doing okay. You don't have to have it all figured out. Just keep being curious and kind.
That's powerful. I'd tell little me, you're enough, exactly as you are. Don't be afraid to speak up and shine.
That's beautiful, Sophia. Sometimes we need to hear those words even now.
Absolutely. We all carry our younger selves inside us. It's important to nurture that inner child with kindness and patience.
So true. The way we speak to ourselves matters. It shapes our confidence, our choices, even how we show up in the world.
Preach, Jacob. This has turned into a real heart-to-heart, and I'm loving every second of it.
Me too. I think conversations like this help people feel less alone. Everyone's going through something, and when we open up, we build bridges.
That's so true. We live in a world full of noise, but real connection is what people crave deep down.
Exactly. And sometimes, just hearing someone else express what you've felt silently for years, that's healing.
Yes, it is. It reminds us that we're not the only ones walking through uncertainty or doubt.
or even joy, right? Like celebrating something becomes so much more meaningful when you share it with someone who truly gets it.
I couldn't agree more. Joy multiplies when it's shared, and sadness divides. That's the beauty of human connection.
You're dropping quotes today, Sophia. That was poetic.
Haha, thank you. I guess the vibe is bringing out the philosopher in me.
I love it. So here's a random one. What's something you've changed your mind about in the past few years?
Hmm. Great question. I used to think that being busy all the time meant I was being productive. Now I realize that rest is just as important as work.
That's a huge realization. Society praises hustle culture, but rest, it's underrated.
Totally. I had to learn it the hard way. Burnout made me reevaluate everything. Now I protect my peace like a treasure.
I respect that so much. I've gone through that too. Learning to say no without guilt is one of the biggest shifts I've had.
Same here. Boundaries are beautiful. They're not walls, they're doors with locks, and we hold the key.
I love that metaphor. You can choose who and what you let in. It's empowering.
Yes. And once you realize that not everything needs your energy, life feels so much lighter.
Exactly. Energy management is just as vital as time management, maybe even more.
That's a gem. I'm writing that one down. So, what do you do personally to recharge when life gets overwhelming?
Nature, hands down. A walk in the park by the water, or just looking at the sky. It grounds me instantly.
Nature is such a healer. I feel like trees have this silent wisdom just standing still, being and growing slowly.
Wow, that's beautifully said, and true. Trees don't rush, yet they accomplish everything they're meant to.
I guess we could learn a thing or two from them. Like, it's okay to be still sometimes. Growth doesn't always have to be loud.
Facts. Some of the most important changes happen quietly, inside us.
Exactly. So, Jacob, tell me, what's a small thing that recently made you really happy?
Honestly, I got this handwritten letter from an old friend. Just a few lines, but it made my entire week.
That's so sweet. There's something magical about handwriting, it feels more personal, more real.
Yes, it reminded me that we don't always need fancy texts or emojis. Just words from the heart are enough.
That's beautiful. I think I might write a letter to someone this week. Thanks for the inspiration.
Do it, it'll make their day, I promise. What about you? Any little joy moments lately?
Hmm. Yeah. I bought a tiny plant for my desk, and the first new leaf just sprouted. I don't know why, but it made me feel so proud.
I love that. Watching something grow, especially something you're nurturing, there's so much satisfaction in it.
Right? It's like a metaphor for life. With patience, care, and a little sunlight, even the smallest things can flourish.
Okay, now you're definitely in poet mode again, haha.
Guilty as charged, but honestly, it's amazing how small things can shift your mood. Plants, letters, music.
Oh yes, music. That's another lifeline for me. Do you have a go-to song when you need a boost?
Yes, it's Walking on Sunshine by Katrina and the Waves. Instant energy. What about you?
Great choice. Mine's probably Don't Stop Me Now by Queen. That song makes me feel unstoppable.
That's a classic. I can picture you guitaring and dancing around the living room.
Guilty music brings out the best kind of silliness in me.
Same here. I have solo dance parties all the time. It's the best way to shake off a rough day.
I love that. Movement is medicine. Even if it's just a few goofy moves in your pajamas.
Haha, exactly. So, if you had to choose one word to describe this current season of your life, what would it be?
I'd say transition. I feel like I'm in between who I was and who I'm becoming.
That's so relatable. Mine would be alignment. I'm trying to make my choices match my values more than ever.
I love that. When your actions match your values, everything feels more authentic.
Exactly. It's not always easy, but it's worth it. That's where peace lives, in alignment.
You're right. So much wisdom in this chat today. I feel like we're just unlocking layers as we go.
We really are. And it's so organic. It's not planned, but it flows perfectly.
That's the magic of deep, real conversations. They go where they need to go.
I hope everyone listening feels like they're sitting here with us, just enjoying the vibe.
I think they do. It's a warm space, full of reflection, laughter, and honesty.
You know, Jacob, this kind of space where we can be ourselves and talk about anything that's rare, and I'm grateful we get to create it.
I feel the same, Sophia. It's refreshing to have a space where there's no pressure to perform, just be real.
Yes, no filters, no facades, just real humans talking like old friends under the stars.
That's the vibe, like those long conversations at night, where you forget the time because you're so into it.
I love those. They feel timeless. You start with one random topic, and somehow you end up talking about life, the universe, and everything in between.
Exactly. And the best part, there's no agenda, just curiosity and connection.
It reminds me of childhood, honestly. When conversations weren't rushed, and you could just lay on the grass and wonder about things.
Wow. Yeah. I remember staring at clouds and making up stories about their shapes. That kind of imagination is gold.
Right? Like, a cloud wasn't just a cloud, it was a dragon, or a castle, or a ship floating in the sky.
Those were the best times. Makes you think maybe we don't lose our imagination, we just stop using it.
That's deep. Maybe adulthood tries to convince us that imagination isn't useful, but it's actually vital.
Totally. It's the source of creativity, of new ideas, of hope, even.
Yes. And it helps us dream about what life could be, beyond what it is right now.
So true. Imagination is like a preview of your future. If you can see it in your mind, you can work toward it.
Absolutely. Vision starts in the unseen. That's why protecting your thoughts is so important.
I love that. Your thoughts are like seeds. Plant fear, grow anxiety. Plant hope, grow possibility.
Wow, Jacob. That's a line right there. Plant hope, grow possibility. I'm writing that down.
Haha, I'm glad it landed. Sometimes things just come out when you're vibing like this.
It's the energy, for sure. So, let's take this deeper. What's something you imagine for your future that feels exciting right now?
I imagine building a creative space, like a small studio where people can come to write, make music, record podcasts, or just dream together.
That's beautiful. A sanctuary for creators. A place where ideas come to life.
Exactly. A space that feels like home, where there's freedom to fail and freedom to fly.
I can already picture it. Cozy lighting, plants, books everywhere, warm energy.
Yes, and comfy chairs gotta have the kind of chair that makes you want to stay for hours.
Definitely, comfort breeds creativity. What would you name the space?
Oh wow, that's tough. Maybe the nest. Like a safe place to grow wings.
I love that. The nest. That says it all. It's nurturing, creative, and comforting.
Thank you. Now I'm curious, what's something you imagine for your own future, Sophia?
I imagine leading retreats in nature, weekends of journaling, deep conversations, stargazing, healing.
Oh my goodness, that sounds like something the world truly needs. Count me in.
You're always invited, Jacob. I want to create spaces where people feel seen, heard, and safe.
That's your gift, Sophia. You make people feel safe just by how you listen.
That means the world to me. Truly. Because at the end of the day, we all just want to feel like we matter.
100%. That's the core of it. We want to be valued, not for what we do, but for who we are.
Exactly. For our stories, our scars, our spirit, all of it.
I think that's why people love spaces like this podcast. It's not about performance, it's about presence.
Yes, just showing up, fully, with open hearts and no scripts.
And in doing so, we give others permission to do the same. That's powerful.
It really is. Like a ripple effect, one honest moment can inspire 100 more.
And honesty is contagious. When someone shares their truth, it lights a path for others to do the same.
That's why I love long-form conversations. They allow room for depth, nuance, and realness.
Me too. It's like taking a long walk with a friend. You don't rush it, you just let it unfold.
Perfect analogy. And every turn brings a new view, a new insight, a new layer.
Yes. And you end the walk feeling lighter, even if you were carrying something heavy at the start.
I love how that sounds. This whole episode feels like that kind of walk.
It really does. And I hope everyone listening feels like they've been walking with us too.
I'm sure they do. We're all just walking each other home, one conversation at a time.
That's such a powerful thought, Sophia. walking each other home. It gives this sense that we're not alone on the journey.
Exactly. We may take different routes, but we're all heading toward connection, toward understanding.
And I think when people truly feel seen and understood, it changes them.
Yes, it softens people. It takes the edge off, especially in a world that can feel so harsh and fast-paced.
Right? Everything's rushing, pushing, expecting. But when someone pauses and says, "Hey, I hear you," it's like a balm.
That's why I love doing this podcast. It's not just about talking, it's about really listening.
And you're amazing at that. You make it feel effortless, like I can just open up without second guessing myself.
That's the goal, to create a space where honesty feels natural, not forced.
You've done that. And I think when people hear us talk like this, they realize they're allowed to be human too.
Yes, to not have it all figured out, to ask questions, to change their mind, to feel deeply.
I used to think I had to have answers all the time. Now I see that good questions matter more.
I love that. Sometimes the right question is more freeing than a perfect answer.
Like, what do I really want? Or, what's stopping me from being myself? Those hit differently.
So true. They open doors inside you that you didn't even realize were locked.
And it's funny how one honest question can unravel years of pretending.
Absolutely. And suddenly, the things we thought were weaknesses become the bridges that connect us.
That's deep. Vulnerability isn't weakness at all, it's the thread that weaves humanity together.
Beautifully said. And yet, we're often taught to hide our tender parts, when really, they're what make us lovable.
Yeah. The cracks are where the light gets in, right?
Exactly, that quote has always stuck with me. It gives me hope.
Hope is underrated. We need more of it, especially in everyday moments.
Definitely. Like finding hope in a quiet morning, in a kind smile, or even in a podcast like this.
It's those small things that keep us going when the big things feel overwhelming.
Yes, and they remind us that life is made of moments, not milestones.
Oof. That's something I've had to learn over time. I used to chase big goals, thinking they'd make me happy.
What changed?
I started noticing how empty I felt after achieving them. Like, is this it?
I hear that so often. The climb feels exciting, but the summit feels lonely if it's not rooted in meaning.
Exactly. And meaning doesn't come from the outside, it grows from the inside.
That's it. Meaning isn't given, it's made. Through how we live, love, and show up.
And sometimes showing up is the bravest thing you can do.
Preach. Even on messy days, even when you feel off, just showing up is powerful.
It tells the world, I'm still here. I still care. I'm still trying.
Yes, and that effort, it matters, more than people think.
You know, this conversation has been like medicine. It's calm, grounding, real.
I feel the same. It's like we're sitting in a quiet corner of the world, just talking heart to heart.
And it's crazy to think that people from all over might be listening right now, feeling the same calm.
That's the magic of words. They travel far and touch people you may never meet, but still impact.
It makes you realize how connected we are, even in silence.
Especially in silence. Sometimes that's where the deepest connection happens.
So true. Like when you sit with someone and don't need to say a word, but everything is understood.
That kind of presence is rare and beautiful.
It is. And I hope people listening today feel that kind of presence from us. That stillness in the middle of the noise.
Me too. That's all I ever hope for with this podcast, to offer peace in a world that often forgets to pause.
You've done that, Sophia. And not just today, every episode.
Thank you, Jacob. That means the world coming from you. Jacob, since we touched on presence and silence, I'm curious, how do you personally practice being present in your daily life?
That's a good question, Sophia. I've started with small things, like really paying attention when I'm eating or walking. No phone, no distractions, just noticing the moment.
That's powerful. So many of us rush through these little moments without actually experiencing them.
Exactly. It's easy to get caught up in to-do lists and future worries, but those small pauses help me reset.
Do you meditate or have any other rituals for presence?
I try to meditate, though some days it's just 5 minutes. Sometimes I just sit quietly, focusing on my breath. Nothing fancy, just being.
That's the essence, really just being. So simple yet so challenging.
Yeah, especially in a world that prizes productivity above all else.
True. There's this pressure to always be doing, achieving, producing.
Which ironically makes us less productive sometimes because we get burnt out.
Exactly. I think presence is the secret ingredient for sustainable creativity and energy.
Couldn't agree more. When I'm present, ideas come easier, I feel calmer, and my relationships improve.
Relationships, yes. Being fully present with someone is probably the greatest gift you can give.
Absolutely. How often do we catch ourselves half listening because our mind is elsewhere?
All too often. It's like we're physically there, but mentally somewhere else,
And that can make people feel invisible or unimportant.
which nobody wants to feel, right? Being truly listened to validates our existence.
I think that's why deep conversations like this one mean so much.
Because it's a reminder that someone cares to really listen.
And maybe that's what we all crave underneath, everything a sense of belonging and being heard.
It's so human. We want to connect, to be known.
And sometimes the simplest moments hold the deepest connections.
Like sharing a laugh, or a silence, or a story.
Yes. Even sharing a song or a memory can bridge distances.
Music is such a universal language. It carries emotions words sometimes can't.
Do you have a favorite song or artist that always brings you back to a grounded place?
I'd say anything by Nora Jones. Her voice feels like a warm hug.
That's beautiful. For me, it's Bob Marley. His music always reminds me to stay positive and grounded.
Great choices. Music definitely shapes mood and mindset.
Totally. I think cultivating what we surround ourselves with music, people, even our thoughts shapes our reality.
It does. That's why I'm careful about my social media intake too. It can either lift me up or drain me.
I hear that. Sometimes I take digital detox days just to reset.
Smart move. The digital world is a double-edged sword.
So true. It connects us, but it can also disconnect us from ourselves.
Which circles back to presence, being here now, not just scrolling through life.
Exactly. And podcasts like this help create intentional space to be present.
That's the hope. To be a pause, a breath, a moment of reflection in your day.
And maybe spark a thought or feeling that stays with you long after.
Which is a beautiful ripple effect of genuine conversation.
It really is. So, what's a simple practice you'd recommend to someone wanting to be more present?
I'd say start with your breath. Just notice it. Inhale, exhale, no judgment. It's a doorway back to now.
I love that. Breath as an anchor, it's always with us, no matter where we are.
Exactly, and it's free.
Haha, yes, free and powerful. What about for someone who feels overwhelmed and stuck?
I'd suggest small steps, maybe just 5 minutes of mindful breathing. Or a short walk outside without any devices.
Nature really helps. The fresh air, the sounds, it brings a sense of peace.
Definitely. Even looking at a tree or the sky can ground you.
It's amazing how the simplest things can heal.
That's the magic of presence and awareness, finding peace in the ordinary.
Sophia, you mentioned awareness. How do you cultivate it beyond just the breath or nature?
Great question, Jacob. I try to check in with myself throughout the day asking, how am I feeling right now? Without judgment.
That kind of self-inquiry sounds simple but powerful.
It is. It creates space to notice emotions instead of getting swept away by them.
So it's like becoming the observer of your own experience.
Exactly. When you observe without reacting immediately, you gain clarity and calm.
That's a skill I'm still learning. Sometimes emotions just hit hard.
Me too. It's a practice, not perfection.
Do you journal or reflect to help with that awareness?
Yes, journaling helps me unpack my thoughts and feelings. It's like talking to a trusted friend myself.
I love that, being your own friend.
So important. We often are our harshest critics, but what if we became our own biggest supporters?
That would change everything.
It would. Self-compassion is a game changer.
How do you practice self-compassion when things get tough?
I remind myself that it's okay to struggle. I talk to myself like I would to a good friend, kindly, patiently.
That's something I need to work on. I tend to beat myself up.
We all do sometimes. It's human. But practicing kindness to ourselves creates resilience.
I like that. Resilience as a muscle we build through compassion.
Yes, and it makes facing challenges a little easier.
Speaking of challenges, what's one you've faced recently, and how did awareness or compassion help?
Recently, I dealt with a project that didn't go as planned. I felt disappointed and frustrated at first.
That's tough. How did you move through it?
I allowed myself to feel those emotions fully instead of pushing them away. Then I reflected on what I learned.
So you gave yourself permission to feel, then shifted perspective?
Exactly. That made space for growth instead of getting stuck in negativity.
That's so wise. Sometimes we rush to fix feelings instead of feeling them.
Yes, embracing feelings can be the first step toward healing.
I'm going to try that next time I hit a rough patch.
That's wonderful, Jacob. Awareness and compassion work hand in hand.
They do. And having conversations like this helps reinforce those lessons.
It does. Sharing our journeys reminds us we're not alone.
And that vulnerability is a strength.
Absolutely. It opens doors to connection and understanding.
So, Sophia, what's one message you want listeners to take away from today?
I want them to remember that being present and kind to themselves is a powerful act of courage and love.
Beautifully said. I hope everyone listening feels inspired to practice that in their own lives.
Me too. It's a journey worth taking, step by step.
And we're all walking it together.
Yes, walking each other home. Jacob, you mentioned earlier how relationships improve when we're more present. How have you seen that play out in your own life?
Great point, Sophia. I've noticed that when I really listen without planning what to say next or checking my phone, the quality of my conversations improves dramatically.
That makes a lot of sense. Active listening is a lost art sometimes.
Yes, and it creates a space where people feel truly heard, which deepens trust.
Do you find it challenging to maintain that presence during busy or stressful times?
Definitely. When I'm stressed, my mind tends to race, and I can zone out even when I'm physically with someone.
That's so relatable. What strategies do you use to bring yourself back to the moment?
I try to slow my breathing or silently repeat something grounding, like, and now.
I like that, using a simple mantra as an anchor.
Yes, and sometimes I gently remind myself that the person I'm with deserves my full attention.
That intention can make all the difference.
For sure. It turns the conversation from a task into a meaningful exchange.
How about technology? Do you set any boundaries to protect your presence?
I do. I have no phone zones or times, especially during meals or one-on-one time.
That's smart. Creating physical boundaries helps create mental boundaries too.
Exactly. It signals to myself and others that this time is for connection.
What about social media? It can be so distracting.
I limit my scrolling to certain times of the day and unfollow accounts that don't uplift me.
That's a great way to curate a positive digital environment.
Yes, and it helps me stay more grounded in reality, rather than getting lost in comparisons.
Comparison can really erode presence and self-esteem.
It can. That's why mindful consumption is key.
Agreed. Switching gears a bit, have you noticed any changes in your mental or physical health from practicing presence?
Absolutely. I feel less anxious and more calm overall. My sleep has improved too.
That's wonderful. Presence really is medicine for the mind and body.
It is. It's like giving yourself permission to just be, without pressure.
Which is a radical act in today's fast-paced world.
Totally. And it's accessible to everyone anytime.
That's the beauty of it, no special tools needed. Just intention.
So true. And sharing this practice with others can create a ripple effect of calm and connection.
Exactly. Which is why conversations like this matter.
I'm grateful for this time to reflect and share with you, Sophia.
Same here, Jacob. It's a gift to have this space to explore presence together.
And to invite our listeners along on this journey.
Yes. To everyone listening, thank you for being here with us in this moment. Thank you so much for joining us today, Jacob, and for sharing such thoughtful insights.
It's been a pleasure, Sophia. I hope our conversation inspires listeners to embrace presence and kindness in their lives.
Absolutely. Remember, being present and compassionate with yourself and others is a powerful way to live more fully.
And it all starts with small intentional steps, one breath, one moment at a time.
If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, and subscribe to the English Hour for more deep and meaningful conversations.
Until next time, take care and be present.
See you soon.